Julia students, my name is Rigzin Nurbu, working as an economics lecturer in School Education Department, Ladakh. So today I am here to teach economics to the students of 12th class. So starting from the first unit, we will try to know what is economics. What is economics? So what comes in your mind when I say what is economics? Economics is a study of human behavior, study of human behavior concerning with allocation of resources, or you can say allocation of scarce resources. In such a manner that as a consumer we get maximum satisfaction, and as a producer we get maximum profit and as a society we get maximum social welfare. So here economics is a study of human behavior concerning with allocation of scarce resources, or the scarce means in such a way that as a consumer we get maximum satisfaction, as a producer we get maximum profit, and as a society we get maximum social welfare. So here you must know the consumer. What does mean by consumer, who are producer, and what comprise of society. Consumer means like the person who consumes things. For example, I am a consumer, you are the consumer. We consume things. We wear clothes, we eat, we use phone. So we are consumer. And producer. Producer refers to those agents or those person in economics, which means who produce things, who manufacture things, who produce things in the society. For example, if I produce mobile, or if I produce clothes, if I produce camera, if I produce headphones, so it means I'm the producer. I'm producing those items. In society is comprised of a large number of individuals, is called society. So what the economics is all about? Economics studies, it studies how the scarce resources, here you see the scarce resources, or the scarce mean, can be used in such a way that as a consumer I get maximum satisfaction by using these scarce resources. For example, I have a resources, say, for example, money is a resources, For example, I have 1,000 rupees. 1,000 rupees is the resources. So how I can utilize, that 1,000 resources By using that 1000, I get maximum satisfaction. One thing, and as a producer also has limited resources, he cannot produce all the things which he wants to produce, because there is a limitation of resources. Scarce resources mean the limitation of resources. So he cannot produce all the, goods that he wants to produce. So he has to manage his limited resources in such a way that he can get maximum profit out of it, And at the last, society, as a society also has limited resources in relation to its population, isn't it? So how the society will manage its scarce resources, limited resources, in such a way that it can provide maximum social welfare to its people? Okay, now I just said that we have scarce resources in relation to our needs. So the resources are not only scarce, but it has also alternative uses. So resources are scarce and it has alternative uses. It has alternative uses. So here resources are not only scarce in relation to our needs, but resources also has alternative uses. Now I say it has alternative uses, what comes in your mind? When I say alternative uses, for example, say labor is a resources. For example, labor is a resources. For example, labor is a resources. These resources, this labor can be used for different purpose. Like it can be used in agricultural sector, for agricultural purpose. It can be used in the industrial sector for industrial purpose. Similarly, all the resources have its alternative uses. So with the scarcity of resources and its alternative uses create problem in the economy, because we have limited resources and these resources have alternative uses. For example, if we have a 10 labor, where we would use these 10 labors, whether we will use in industrial sector or in the agricultural sector. This is a problem, and this problem is called problem of choice. And this problem is called problem of choice because we have to choose, we have to make a choice. Problem of choice. This, problem which emerges due to scarcity of resources and its alternative is called problem of choice. And this is a problem of choice because we have to make a choice, we have to use the, these scarce resources. Okay, so the economics is broadly divided into two parts, that is microeconomics and the macroeconomics. Divided into two parts or two sections. That is microeconomics and the second one is macroeconomics. Macroeconomics. Okay. Now, what is microeconomics? Microeconomics studies economic issues or the problem of individual economic unit. So microeconomics, it studies economic issues or the economic problems of individual economic units. Now when I say individual economic unit, it studies, say, the economic issues of an individual consumer or the economic problems of an individual producer or an individual market. When we study the economic issues or the economic problems of an individual economic unit that comes under the microeconomics. Now, what is macroeconomics? The term macro means big. Macro means big. So when I say macroeconomics, it studies economic as a whole. Economic as a whole. So in macroeconomics, we study the economic issues of the whole country. It will include the issues like the problem of national unemployment, the problem of price, the foreign exchange, the trade with the foreign countries. All these come under the heading of macroeconomic. So it is a comprehensive term. Okay. Now we will study what are the different central problems of an economy. So every economy are facing three types of central problems. Three types of problems. That is, what to produce, and second one, how to produce, and the third one, for whom to produce. For whom to produce. So every economy is faced with three types of central problems. That is, given the limited resources or given the scarce means, we have to decide what kind of goods to be produced, how to produce, and for whom to produce. So when I say what to produce, there are two types of goods in an economy. First is capital goods, and the second one is consumer goods. Consumer goods. So what is capital goods? So capital goods refers to all types of machines and plants that are required by the producer to produce goods. These are called capital goods. And consumer goods are those goods which are consumed by the normal consumer, like I and you. For example, if this cloth is a consumer goods. I eat food. Food is a consumer good. So these are called consumer goods. So for an economy, we need both goods. We need capital goods for producing goods within the country, and we also need consumer goods for our consumer. So both goods are required for the country. So now when we use the limited resources for producing only the capital goods, then there will be shortage of the consumer goods. In such case, there will be a problem in an economy. Similarly, when we use the limited resources to produce more of the consumer goods, then there will be again shortage of capital goods. So there will be imbalance in the producing of goods, which will ultimately create problem in the economy. So we have to make a choice. We have to make a choice to how can we utilize the scarce resources in between these two goods so that we can produce them equally or in a most proportional way. Now, if I say how to produce, when I say how to produce, we come to the point that what kind of technique that we will use in the production of goods. When I say techniques, there are two types of techniques. The first one is labor-intensive techniques. Labor-intensive technique. And the second one is capital intensive technique. capital intensive techniques. So there are two types of techniques, that is labor intensive techniques and the capital intensive techniques. In labor intensive techniques we use more labor than that of capital. If we in any production process, if for example you say you use 90 labor and 10 capital, that will be labor intensive techniques. In no matter, labor intensive will increase the job opportunity. It will increase the employment opportunity, but the rate of production, rate of manufacturing will be slower than that of the capital intensive technique. Now, what is capital intensive technique? Capital intensive technique is that technique in which we use more machines, more capital than that of the labor. So capital intensive technique will increase the efficiency of production. It will accelerate the growth of the economy, but it will increase the unemployment in an economy, because when we use more machines, more capital, it means we are using less number of laborers. It means there is increase in an unemployment, but it will increase the efficiency of the economy. It will increase the rate of growth. So this is another problem, that which technique is to be used, whether to use labor intensive technique to reduce unemployment or the capital intensive technique to accelerate the economic growth. Now the last part is for whom to produce. It means in our society, in our country, we have different types of people or the different class of people. From economic point of view, we divide it into two types, that is rich people and the poor people. Poor people. Okay. Now, we have these two types of people in our society, that is rich people and the poor people. And we also know that rich has a larger income as compared to the poor people. Now, given the limited resources, given the scarce resources, where we should use that resources to produce goods for the rich people or to produce goods for the poor people. No matter if we produce goods for the poor people, it will increase, it will decrease the social inequality, but it will not fetch high profit to the producer. When there is no profit to the producer, there will be low investment. When there is low investment, there is low production and low employment opportunities. Ultimately, there will be low growth in the economy. On the other hand, if we produce goods for the rich people, they have large amount of money. They can afford to buy expensive things. They can afford to buy goods of higher price. It will generate income to the producer. It will generate greater profit to the producer. Ultimately, it will generate income to the country. So when there is larger income to the producer, it will make larger investment. When there is more investment, there will be more production. When there is more production, there will be more employment opportunities. In this way, the growth will go up. Economic growth will go up. So, but we cannot neglect the poor people within our society. We have to equally feed them. We have to equally treat them, both rich people and the poor people. So it becomes a problem for an economy whether to for whom to produce the goods, for whom to produce the goods, either for the rich people or the poor people with the given limited resources. Okay. Now our next topic is production possibility curve, which is in shortcut we call it PPC. So what is production possibility curve? PPC or production possibility curve is a curve which shows different combination, combination of two goods that can be produced with the given resources and technology. Okay, now production possibility curve is a curve. It is a curve which shows different combination of two goods that can be produced with the given resources and technology. So it is also called transformation line. It is also called transformation line or transformation curve, or production possibility frontier. So it is also called, PPC is also called transformation line or the production possibility frontier. Now I said that it shows the combination of two goods that can be produced with the given resources and technology. Now you see here I said the resources are given and the technology is also constant, that is also given. Now I will explain you with the production possibility table or the schedule. What is production possibility schedule? It is a table which shows the combination of two goods. Here I have taken two goods, that is apples and the wheat. Resources are given the resources, we are producing two goods, that is apple and wheat. Now there are five combinations, there is A, B, C, D and E. There are five combinations of these two goods. If I put all the resources, all the given resources in production of apples, then I can produce 100 apples and 0 wheat. And if I produce 10 wheat, then I can produce only 90 apples. I mean 90 lakh tons apples. Similarly, if I move 20 tons apple, it means I can produce only 70 tons of apples. Similarly, if I produce more wheat, that is 30, 40, then my production of apples will go down. So if I use all the resources to produce wheat, that is 40, then I can produce no apples at all. So it means here we can see that if I put all the resources to produce apples, I can produce maximum of 100 apples with that given resources, and the production of wheat is 0. Similarly, if I use all the resources, all the given resources to produce apples, I can produce maximum 40 apples with, maximum 40 wheat with no apples at all. Now put this table into a graph. Here you can see the graph. There are two axes. This is called x-axis and this is called y-axis. There are two axes, and on the x-axis I have measured production of wheat. There is production of wheat, and on the y-axis I have measured production of apples. Now see, there are five combinations: A, B, C, D and E. This curve, this is the production possibility curve. It shows the combination of two goods. Here you see, when the production of apple is 100, when the production of apple is 100, the production of wheat is 0. The production of wheat is 0. Here it is 0. Okay. When when I increase the production of wheat, that is from 0 to 10, the production of apples come down from 100 to 90. This is the combination B. Similarly, if I increase the production of wheat from 10 to 20, then the production of apples comes down from 70 to 40. And if I use all the resources for production of wheat, then the productions of apple will be 0. So these 5 combinations, when we join these 5 combinations, this is A, B, C, then E, we get a curve, and this curve is called production possibility curve. Now you must be wondering that why we have to decrease the production of apples while increasing the production of wheat, or why we have to decrease the production of wheat while increasing the production of apples. We have to, sacrifice this because we have a limited resources. We cannot produce all the, both the goods together. So we have to reduce, we have to sacrifice, or we have to forgo one good to produce another goods. So this is all about production possibility curve. Now I have told you that production possibility curve is also called transformation line or the transformation curve. It is called transformation line or transformation curve because here you see, to produce 10 tons of wheat, we have to transform the resources from the production of apples. Here we have to transform the resources from the production of apple to the production of wheat. Similarly, to produce more wheat, we have to transform more resources from the production of apple. So therefore it is called transformation line, and it is called production possibility frontier because production possibility boundary, because we cannot go beyond this boundary. This is the ultimate boundary, so we cannot produce beyond this line because we have a limited resources. And this is all about today's class, and we'll see you tomorrow. Till that, take care, stay home and stay safe. All the best.